I'm spilling the tea. Right.
People are experiencing, this buyer fatigue.
Absolutely.
Right? Constantly maybe not even making it to a property because it went on the market and is under contract in 24 hours.
I was so antsy that I was pushing it. I was
Yeah.
pushing it. Don't push it. Don't push it. Don't push it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people, they see that you bought the home, but they don't see the journey that it took to get there.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of people, that's like blood, sweat, and tears. So that's why it means so much when you get in the home and you actually get the keys. Yeah. I loved working with you.
Hey everybody, it's Jenn Rivera with the Dream Team at XR Realty. Excited to announce the first episode of our video series, Sip and Share, where we go behind the scenes with some of our past clients, getting into the nitty-gritty of their experience and sharing some real estate tips and tricks. I'm here with Sabrina. I recently helped her find her dream home, and what we weren't expecting was this real estate relationship to turn into a long-term friendship. Let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sabrina, and I am a mental health therapist. I go by the Black Spiritual Therapist on Instagram. You helped me recently purchase my first home. I was in a position where I was ready. I was very much so ready. I needed the help of my parents. So I had moved in for a while, and it was just time to be in my own element again. Yeah. I was super, super ready to purchase my first home, and I have a daughter, a little toddler, a little girl, 3 years old. And so I was looking for to lay roots,
Absolutely.
with our first home. And so it was important to me that I worked with someone I felt comfortable with. It was important to me that I laid roots where I felt comfortable. And I had a lot going on. I had some physical health issues, and that really hindered me for a while. And for me, it was my final step out on my own again after what I had been through. So it was really important to me that I worked with someone who got me and who flowed with me, and which is what I found in you as an agent, which agent turned friend, So my story is one where, when I got to the end, closing day for me was so joyous, because of what I had been through in my journey. It
was a real spiritual journey for sure.
It was a real spiritual journey. I had physically not been able to do completely for myself, for a while. And so to be in my home now, walking up 55 stairs every day, it's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you helped me find that, and I will say that I started out thinking that I needed things to be, okay, I got a child now, right? It's my first child. I have a child now. So that means I have to have this home. It's got to be a single family. It's got to be in the suburbs. It's got to be in the school district. It's got to be boom, 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 boom. So much pressure I was putting on myself. And until finally I let go and release, and I said, no, let me sit with myself. In my heart of hearts, where do I feel comfortable? Where do I feel joy? I'm born and raised in this city, Chicago. Yeah. It's my heart. It's in my heart. No matter what, it'll always be with me. I've lived other places, but home is always Chicago in my heart. And at the end of my process, I realized, go where your heart is. Home is where the heart is.
Absolutely.
And my heart was right where I moved in. And I'm so grateful for you today for helping me purchase my first home, because today I can say I'm a survivor, and I'm joyous over everything that I've been through, all of the challenges that I've been through. A lot of people see the glory, but they don't see the story. That's good. Yeah. That's good. They see the glory, but they don't see the story.
Yeah.
And Jen, you worked with me. You helped me through some of the toughest stuff. You have grit. You have what it takes. If you're looking for an agent with the grit and with the knowledge and the power and the education and the integrity, this is your team. The dream team. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Really excited to get this new series going where we really, just sit down and talk to our past clients. I really appreciate you.
Definitely.
I love you. So I guess we could just dive right in.
Sure.
What was your dream, your goal for, what started the process? What made you want to go out and start looking for your first home?
Yeah. Well, I actually feel like I'm back on track. I moved back to Chicago during the pandemic. I had been living out in Virginia for a while. And before I moved, I was in Chicago. So 10 years ago is when I started my interest in real estate and purchasing property. And then I moved to Virginia. But when I came back, I got back on track, if you will. I had to move back in with my parents for a little bit, and let's just say it was time. That's what pushed me towards purchasing my first home and really being serious about the process. So that's what got me out there.
Being a first-time buyer, how did you imagine the process to go?
Because it was my first time, I didn't really know. I had taken a first-time home buyer class already. So I knew a little bit about the process, but I didn't exactly know how the actual getting out there would be my very first time. You were my second time actually getting out and being serious and looking at different properties. And so I was hoping it wouldn't go like my first time. And by that, I mean, the first time my real estate agent was very pushy. He was older and kind of retiring out, and really he saw me like a grandchild. I feel like he was like, here, take this one. And I'm like, no, I did, And so I was hoping that the process would go smoothly, and like everything in life, I hoped that it would be aligned, and moving smoothly and balanced,
Absolutely.
And I found that gratefully with you.
Yay. Prior to starting, I feel like a lot of buyers have this idea, this budget in mind, and then they speak to the lender and things kind of change. What was that for you? Like, was your ideal, what you thought your budget was going to be, was it the same after talking to a lender, or how was it different?
It actually turned out to be the same. I had a set budget because it was very important to me that I was able to, one, afford a home, but two, keep the home.
Yeah.
And because I've done a lot of research on real estate, I did not want to be house poor. I did not want to be taken advantage of. There is a lot of predatory lending, and folks losing their homes, especially people of color. And so it was important to me that I would be able to afford my home. Not just afford to get it, but afford to keep it also. So I had a set budget, and fortunately, I worked with a lender who also it was important to them that I was going to be able to afford the home. So their budget and my budget aligned. So good. I appreciated that. Yeah.
Good. It's not always the case. I mean, sometimes we have people who have like these extravagant ideas, and then they talk to a lender and it's like reality hits.
Yeah. Because, and if I can also say, sometimes they'll give you more money. The lenders will give you more money, but that doesn't mean you have to take it all.
They'll max you out. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you have to take it all. And I'm like, okay, yes, you might give me this much, but I only feel comfortable at this much. So this is what I'm going to look for. Homes within this range.
I always talk to my clients about that too. Like, just because you're approved up to 400 doesn't mean we have to do up to 400.
Absolutely.
Like if we can find everything, if it hits your must-haves and we can save you some money every month, like why not?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Speaking of must-haves, what were your must-haves at the beginning?
I knew it was important to have a must-have list or a deal-breaker list. Like for me, I had to have 3 bedrooms because I like to entertain. I needed a guest room. I have out-of-town guests sometimes, so I needed that 3rd bedroom. That was important to me. It was also important to me that I didn't stay in too much of a challenging neighborhood. I have a daughter, I have a child, and I just wanted to make sure I was purchasing in a home where I felt safe, in a neighborhood where I felt safe enough to live. I did not have to have the garage, didn't have to have, it didn't have to be, in certain areas, but I had to make sure that I had the 3 bedrooms. Like that was important to me. And also it was important to me that I had a turnkey property because I didn't want to, I didn't want to have to put work in.
No projects. Absolutely.
I didn't want any projects. I have enough going on in my life, and I didn't want to move in and have to be putting work in. So I wanted a turnkey property. Those were my must-haves for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. That type of work is not for everybody.
Right.
Going into that, managing those construction projects are so much work and so much, so time consuming and so many little pieces. So yeah, no, absolutely. Right. I get it. When we went to look at homes.
Oh boy.
That was fun. Thinking back to the first time we toured, you said you had worked with another agent, and then, we met. We we met like from another listing. I think
Yes.
it was, right? You had reached out to me.
I did. Yeah.
And then you like followed up, and then we connected.
Yeah.
And, so on
I
and
reached
so
out to you. You were rushing to do something.
Yeah.
As always. But I loved that you took the time to answer my questions, and you were so knowledgeable. And I was like, I want to work with her, So I took a note, and I reached out to you when I was ready.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Overall, like the experience, just touring with me, but just
Right.
overall, how did you feel?
I think it's important to note that when you may have an idea of where you want to be and what you want. That may change.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened with me. I had
We
an
went
idea.
everywhere.
Yes. I have a little toddler, and I was like, I want to be here in the suburbs. I want to be in this neighborhood, and this is where I want to live. Boom. And so we started there,
Yeah.
And so first impressions of the homes in that area were underwhelming for me, very underwhelming. We started looking at properties where I think investors were kind of unloading their portfolios,
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of homes that had been rented out. And so they weren't at the standard where I really wanted them to be. And so my first impressions of the first homes were, okay, this isn't it. This isn't it. Looks like work. Looks like
Yeah.
work. Needs some work. Those were the first impressions. Until we shifted, until we really shifted. And you helped me with that too. Expanding.
Kind of exploring
Yes.
the areas. Yeah, because we were
Oh gosh. 7,
seven
8, 9 a day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
did a lot all over.
All
I mean,
over.
it wouldn't even be in
A
one
week.
spot. It would
Yeah.
be like everywhere. Yeah, no, I remember.
A lot.
But I mean, it's so important to, like, I have a new client right now, and she's like, I'm open to anywhere. I mean, I have
wow.
her,
Right.
it's all over. She's all over the city. She's in the suburbs, and it's like, that's where we got to be sometimes. We have to start, like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And the only way you're going to find out is by exploring those areas.
Absolutely.
Right? And
That's true.
comparing and contrasting. Like, I think as we start, there was one suburb that we were, one of the south suburbs that we were looking at, and it was like, okay, all these houses are the same. They're exactly the same.
Yep.
It's the same little style of home. I think
Yep.
they were like split levels. And it was like, okay, we can knock these out, right? Like, we know that this is probably not our vibe.
Yeah.
We're not really feeling this area, so
Yeah.
we can eliminate it now.
Yep.
And move on. And
that's
little
what
by little,
happened.
we narrowed it down.
Yep.
How many homes did we see?
Jenn, we saw like easily 70 homes. I had to pause you. People thought it was me. Like going to see like, oh, no.
like, here's
I
more.
have a powerhouse real estate agent, okay? She is a tiger out there. Arr, you know what I mean? Like, we were going, and I appreciate it because it was exciting. It was fun.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it did get a little bit like, oh no, I'm not finding. I got a little discouraged. And you remember that.
Yeah.
I got a little discouraged after a while. But when we first started working together, you said it's going to take, like, usually average is about a year. It's going to take about a year. And I was like, no, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to find it. You know what? It did.
Yeah.
It took about a year.
Yeah.
Why? Because I needed to.
You took a break.
I had to take a break.
Yeah.
I had to recenter and reestablish in my heart of hearts, what I really wanted, like what really lit me up. I had to take a moment and settle and say, Sabrina, what part of the city lights you up?
Yeah.
Because I've lived a little bit of everywhere, kind of all over. I'm like, where did you really love? So why are you out in the suburbs looking?
For sure. And I
Yeah.
think that a lot of times, especially as like a first time buyer,
Yeah.
what I find is that they're thinking forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
That's what it was.
this is a stepping stone. This is your first
That's what-
place. And then 5 years, 7 years, we're gonna, you're gonna be ready. You're gonna grow. Your family's gonna grow. Whatever the
Absolutely.
scenario is, it's gonna change.
Absolutely.
Your situation's gonna change. And then it's like, now it's the next step. So putting
Yeah.
all this into, I have to find everything, and I need,
Yes.
I need a house. I need all these things. Where finally you were like, you know what? I'm good with starting with a condo.
Such a great point.
I can do a condo.
Yeah.
I can, and maybe in the future it can become an investment property, and then I
Absolutely.
can move on to a single family home when I'm
Absolutely.
ready.
Especially
Part
since
of that journey.
it was just me and my daughter. And
Yeah.
it just fits, and it makes more sense.
I know the answer to this question. I remember, but did you have a "this is the one" moment?
I did.
I think I have the text message that
I
says,
did.
"This is the one."
literally before I even viewed the property, it popped up online I texted it to you immediately. I said, this is the one.
Yeah, I remember.
What? Okay. And then we saw it the next day.
And it was done. Like, it was literally like you knew.
Yes. I walked in, sunlight was pouring in, open concept. It was turnkey. It was immaculate.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful.
And it was so nice that we got to meet the builder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were great.
The contractor, he was really great. And it just, everything aligned. We saw some shoddy jobs, and
We were under contract on some.
oh gosh,
On some.
Can we got to tell that story. Oh Lord,
Yeah.
listen to it.
That was, that inspection was fun.
Oh gosh,
That bungalow, which you really thought was the one.
I
think that was the
it
first. This is the one.
Yeah.
And that was wrong.
Yeah, I was pushing it. No, you told me. You were like, no, this has some issues.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen. I was so ready to move into my home. I was so antsy that I was pushing it. I was pushing it. Don't push it. Don't push it. Don't push it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't
I
flow,
gotta just
don't
let her-
go.
We got to go through this process.
Yes.
She's got to go through this inspection.
Yeah.
She's got to be hit with that. Because
Yeah.
I knew everything that was wrong with it
Yeah.
from our first tour.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know if this is the one, Sabrina. But
Right.
hey,
But I spent that little
let's do
money,
it.
had that inspection done, and he said, there's asbestos blowing through
The ductwork.
this ductwork.
Yep.
And I said, oh my God. Jen told me.
One of many issues.
You told me. Oh, one of many. And I said, oh gosh, this isn't, gosh. And that's when I broke down and I cried. And
I remember. It was hard.
and I think after that, that's when I took a break.
Yeah.
Because I had some health issues too. I was going through this process. It was rough on me, and I needed to take a break after that. Yeah. But then I took a break, and then it was low season, winter months,
Holidays. Yep.
holidays, and I felt so much better when it came up when we were about ticking up towards high season again. When it gets to the beginning of the year, when you start that grant money starts coming back, and folks start getting ready to move, and right. I think it was February, right, when high season was about to tick up, that dropped on the market, and I was like, boom, that's it. And I felt so ready because we had been through so much together and saw so many homes together. I felt ready, and everything went boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I was so excited. Like when you reached out and were like, I'm ready, Jen. Like, let's do this again. Because I was like, man, she disappeared. Like, I don't know if she's going to want to do it. I mean, we like chatted and stuff, but I was like, maybe she's just too discouraged. I mean, it happens, and people disappear. And then like 2 years later, they're like, okay, I want to do it again.
Yeah.
It can be those multiple offers and like just the kind of the way the market is can be very overwhelming. So it's like, it's something that I always have to work on with like my buyers. Like, listen, this is normal.
Right.
Like what you're going, this isn't just happening to you.
Yes.
Like there's limited inventory.
Right.
People are experiencing, this buyer fatigue.
Absolutely.
Right. Constantly maybe not even making it to a property because it went on the market and is under contract in 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
Or,
it can, the highs and lows.
Bidding for it and all of that.
Be
Yeah.
exhausting and emotional. So yes, sometimes you have to take a break.
Was there anything that you really weren't expecting? Anything that surprised you along the way?
I wasn't expecting to see so many homes. No.
You were expecting to be like,
I was
"Found
expecting
it."
to be like, okay, yeah,
3 weeks
for it to
in.
go quicker. I
Yeah.
really was, you know. When you set that a year, I was, but it wasn't my time. When it's your time, it will flow.
Yeah.
And I like putting on the dress, whether it be the prom dress, the wedding dress, it's the one when you put it on,
Yes.
And sometimes that takes 10 dresses.
I think I tried on 50 wedding dresses. And then I was like,
See?
oh, yeah, this is... When I walked out, I think, and saw everybody's like face, and I knew and I was just like, this is amazing. But yeah, same thing. It
Exactly.
has to fit, like
It
that
has
dress.
to fit, yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of like what I didn't know, but I found out.
How did you feel making the offer? I'm a data girl.
Yeah.
I love the data.
Yeah.
So pulling all that information and reviewing all of that, was it overwhelming, or did you feel like you felt confident going into your offer? Like, how did that whole experience feel?
That's another thing I didn't realize, and I think you may ask about this later on too. The amount of paperwork, the amount of documents, it can be overwhelming. It's a lot. It's a lot. So going in, making the offer, I felt great. I felt great. I was actually out of town, and
I remember. Yep.
I was out of town, and celebrating my sister's 35th birthday in Texas. And you were on this end taking care of the like, okay, let's making sure this offer goes through and everything like that. And when you text me and you let me know, you were like, okay, they need something, something, something. I was like, so wait, was it accepted? You were like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. It was an overwhelming feeling of joy.
Yeah.
That's how I felt,
Yeah.
And I felt that the first time with that first property, I was excited, but it wasn't the one.
Yeah.
It wasn't the one because it didn't work out. But this time I was like, excitement and relief at the same time, and joy.
Then all the paperwork. Yeah, which I know can be overwhelming. I try my best to really break down and explain as much as possible.
Yeah, no, you do great.
And, the details and, the value of the property and all of that, because I feel like that's so important, like you trust me to tell you that this is priced right.
Yes.
And I feel like I can tell you that.
Yes.
But I'd rather show you.
Yes.
With,
with the
data
comps
and all of that stuff.
Definitely.
So yeah, I find that, really, really helpful. What is the most important takeaway or the thing that you learned that you would say from this whole experience?
Patience. Patience. If it don't flow, you shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Period.
If it don't flow, don't go.
If it don't flow, don't go. Like, period. If it don't flow, don't go. That's what I learned. Really trust your instinct. Go with what you feel in your heart of hearts and what you need for yourself and for your family. Think about what lights you up. What part of the city or suburbs lights you up? What are your must-haves? Like, what's important to you? Are you going to feel okay fighting traffic if you live, further than where you live or where your children go to school? Those are really things to consider. But the biggest takeaway I took away from the process is really patience. Things are going to happen for you. Stars align, and it doesn't happen just overnight. And that's with anything.
And don't be afraid to take a break.
Yeah, because what happens is you take a break from all of the push, it's not happening, and you let go of that energy, of the not happening energy, and you surrender, you let go, and then you allow yourself to get back up when it's time, and then it just flows.
Yeah.
And it will. When it's your time, it's your time.
You can't force it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And I feel like I have, clients, or I've experienced clients who are afraid to take a break. Whether it be
like they might miss out.
Or they're going to disappoint me or upset me. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, take a break. I can use a break. You know what I mean? Like, we've looked at a lot of homes. Like, sometimes we got to take a step back and really, like you said, just think about it and find that alignment and decide if, why isn't it working?
Exactly.
Right? Is it the location? Is it, my expectations? Do I have to revisit my must-haves? Like, what really, I feel like as you go through the process, even the must-haves, right? Like, that starts to, dwindle down a little bit and more realistic. And it's like, okay, well, do I really need ABC, whatever it is, right?
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to have an agent who is not pressurous, because it's not about them. I mean, I love you. It's not about them.
Yeah.
It's about what you need with yourself and your family,
You should never feel pressured into this is such a big
into a sale.
Financial decision.
One of the biggest you'll have in your life.
Right.
Yes.
And it's like,
yeah.
I would love to close. You know what I mean? I would love to, close and get paid. But
absolutely,
at the end of the day, I want to know that you feel, because you're the one that has to live in this house.
Yes.
You have to be happy with this house. I don't want you feeling like you made a mistake or, whatever the situation may be. What was closing day like? How did you feel?
I felt over the moon.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was one of the happiest days of my life.
Yeah.
I can say that. I can truly say
You had a
that.
really good closing. You walked away with money.
Oh gosh. I
remember now.
Listen, it went, and I'm not saying it happens like this for everyone, because it won't, but if you allow yourself to let things align, things will just stack up like a domino effect. I'm like, it popped online. I said, this is the one, went, boom. It was the one, walked in, felt very flooded with joy. Offer put in, boom, great. And then 30-day closing.
Yeah.
And it was like, but we got it in that 30-day frame. Closing day was very joyous. I ended up doing my research, because one of the important things that you do is look for home home buying grants. There are
Yeah.
grants out there. There's free money,
Yeah.
free money, people, free money to help you
Yeah.
to afford closing costs, down payment assistance. And I knew what I qualified for. And I worked with a lender who knew what I qualified for. And so in the beginning of the year, that money was there. Boom.
Yeah.
I came to the table. I walked away from the table with a check.
I remember that and negotiating the credit.
So I had extra money in my pocket to do other things with, like buy a king size mattress.
Yeah. What was the first thing you did after closing when you first like walked in to your new home?
Popped a bottle of Moet.
There you go.
Yes, honey. It was a celebration. I had this bottle of Moet I had for my someone had bought for my birthday a few years ago, prior, and I was saving it for something special.
How did Love like it?
She
what was her
walked
reaction?
in, oh my gosh.
Love is her daughter.
Love is my daughter, yes. I watched her little 3-foot self walk around and check out every room, and she really felt at home, and over time felt more and more at home.
Yeah.
What I didn't know and what they didn't tell you and what they don't tell you is that the transitional times for toddlers is big. Like something that's kind of smaller for us is a big deal for them.
Like
so
going from one home to the other.
yes, like moving from
Absolutely.
one home to another and traveling to school from a new home. She had tantrums for 2 weeks. So, we had to, it was a transition for her,
Yeah.
but it was a transition for all of us.
Yeah,
Me, her, my mom, we all ended up going through a transition, and it was good though, because eventually we got adjusted and we're finally like, okay, we're going to the new home now. Yes, love, we're going to the new home.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. She's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about your house?
I live in a gray stone building. My building is 120 years old. It is a historic gray stone building in a historic neighborhood in the city of Chicago. I love all that richness.
Yeah.
I love it. 10
All that
foot. I
character.
don't know how tall the ceilings are, 9 foot, 10 foot, whatever it is. The character,
Yeah.
the sunlight, the open concept, the sunlight that pours in, it fills my heart with joy. I've been on a long journey getting to the point. A lot of times people see like the home buying, they see that you bought the home, but they don't see the journey that it took to get there.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of people, that's like blood, sweat, and tears. So that's why it means so much when you get in the home and you actually get the keys.
Yeah.
And you can say, this is my home. That was important to me. It helps with, building wealth, but also just a sense of safety, security, and peace
Yeah.
just to have. And that you've secured this for you and yours.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say I love is the character of my home.
What did you appreciate about working with us, with me, and our team?
I loved working with you. Jen, you were so professional. You were knowledgeable. You're a powerhouse. That's what I call you. I call you, you're like a tiger out there. You're like, "Arr," you may be, I'm not going to say your height,
Might
but
have to be like my next
I don't know your
tattoo.
height, right? You may be a smaller package, but you're packed in there as a powerhouse. You out there and you go to bat for your clients.
Yeah.
You will not allow them to be taken advantage of. You will not. You won't take advantage of them. You're knowledgeable. You do the work for them. So
Make me cry.
I'm telling you, you fight battles so that we don't have to.
Yeah.
And I know that was important. Integrity was important for you.
Yeah.
And that was important for me. I'm a business owner myself, and it was important that I worked with someone who knew what they were doing and who wasn't going to pressure me into something, and who that I vibed with. And we vibed.
Yeah.
I'm Afro-Latina myself. And so you and your Latina-ness and all of that, the richness of who you are, you bring that forth in your profession.
Yeah.
And you work with clients on a personal level, and I can feel you feeling that sentiment.
Yeah.
I love that you made it very personal, and it was important to you that you were honest and you had integrity.
Yeah.
So that's what I really loved about working with you. You knew your stuff.
Thank you. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out?
Oh gosh. Number one, take the first time home buyers class. Please do it not for me, for yourself. Take that first time home buyer class, because it teaches you everything you need to know about the home buying process. It's a lot of information, and it's a lot to learn, and it's a lot I'm still learning. It's stuff I still learn. It's a lot. It is a loaded process buying a home. At least be equipped with education about the process. take the home buyer class and have a budget. Make sure you manage your money. Please manage your money. Have a budget, like I have a budget binder.
Of course you do.
Like I write down my expenses every month. I want to know how much I'm able to afford. Know how much you're able to afford. Not how much you think, you might get from a lender. I don't want to say disregard that, but know how much you feel comfortable at. And also know your deal breakers. Know what's important to you and your family. Think long term, like what will I feel comfortable living here? Like, is this comfortable for me? So those are the top 3 things, and have patience in the process.
What advice would you give to a person who's interviewing agents?
If it don't flow, don't go.
Yeah.
I do that with I say that with everything. I love that you say interview too. Interview, like have a conversation. When you and I first sat down, we sat at a coffee shop, and our whole first meeting was getting to know each other.
Yeah. I was telling them that when we were getting set up. I was like, we sat down the first time, and it was like a 2-hour. We didn't even talk about real estate.
I'm telling you, it was a great foundation for us.
Yeah.
Get referrals from other people for sure, but still interview them. Give them a call and say, hey, when you have some time, can we have like a little consultation? I just want to get a feel and just talk to see how it is. Don't feel pressured to work with any one person. Go with your intuition. If it doesn't feel right,
You should feel comfortable.
you should feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel.
I agree.
Unfortunately, a lot of agents, not you, can be very pressure,
Yeah.
to work with you because it's about the money for them. It's just about the money,
Yeah.
But money will come when you're aligned.
How they treat you when you need to take a step back,
Yes.
or when you're going through emotions, and all of that really matters, right? Because at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, it's not just
Right.
a check. It
Right.
has to mean more. Okay, well, that is all of my questions. I really, really appreciate you agreeing to come out and sit down with us. I feel so special. It's our first one, and it had to be with you.
Thank you for being a part of my first biggest purchase of my life.
First of many.
First of many.